Hey everyone, it's CD here again and welcome back to the channel. I think you're gonna like this one. So in this video, I'm really wanting to highlight my DJI Mini 3 Pro drone that I got this year. This is my first time ever buying a drone, but I've got a chance to use it more and more, and really, this might have been the best purchase I've ever made. Just because I've been able to do so many different things with this particular drone. And with this being the first one I got this year, there's so many different other drone models that are out there. It can get pretty complex and trying to find the right one. So I thought I'd make a quick video just kind of showcasing why I chose this specific drone, or why I would recommend, if you are a beginner, this is really the drone to get, especially this year. So first off, when this drone came out in 2022, it was considered a little pricey for a mini drone, but now with a lot of the newer models that have come out, such as like the Mini 4 Pro, even like the Mini 5 Pro, this drone's price has dropped pretty significantly, which makes it a lot more affordable. It's a lot more accessible, and I think for a drone that has a lot of premium pro level features, it's really worth it. And it's currently not in production, so you can't get a brand new drone, but you are able to find some really good options, used or refurbished. The drone I got was off eBay. I got a refurbished drone, but it has no functional issues, works as intended. The software and hardware on this drone are really good. I think what really makes this drone stand out for me is that even though it is 2025, this drone is still very competitive, with having all those premium pro level features that you would expect out of a drone of this caliber. You get the 4K video, you have the great flight time, it even has like the obstacle avoidance with the sensors. The camera on this drone is just phenomenal. You can shoot really high quality images that look professional. If you're somebody that's trying to create a lot of content, create cinematic videos, this drone can do all those different things. One of the big things about this drone, especially with me being a beginner, was this drone being the Mini and it being below that 250 gram weight requirement. And because of that, I didn't have to worry about registering the drone, which kind of adds like another hassle, another thing you have to deal with, especially when you're traveling a lot, if you're going outside the country, making sure your drone is registered within different countries. I didn't have to worry about any of that. And so I've just been able to, get the drone, fly it around, use it as I need to, and that's been a major thing, at least for me. I've even taken the drone with me, outside the country, like to the Bahamas, and I've had no issues with traveling with it. Now, when I first got the drone, I got it for around $600, which quite honestly is a steal when you think about the caliber drone that this is, and then all the different things that came with it, especially like the different batteries that I got, as well as the filters and those different things. I even got the dedicated RC remote with the screen. I just thought that this remote was essential to have, especially with not having to worry about hooking up my phone using the DJI app to connect to my drone. I have a true dedicated remote for my drone that I use to fly it. So when you combine that price point with a lot of the competitive pro level features that you get out of the DJI Mini 3 Pro drone, I really think this is the drone to buy in 2025. And if you're somebody that's looking to get in drones for the very first time, this would be a very good starting point. When it comes to battery life, I will say the battery on the DJI Mini 3 Pro holds up pretty well. In my case, I actually have the battery hub where I have 3 batteries for my drone, which is nice. They're currently rated around 35 minutes for each battery. I will say that, since I've tested the batteries out, I usually get around 25 to 30 minutes of real-time use with each of those batteries. But overall, it performs really well, and I think it's pretty comparable with some of the other drones out there, like the DJI Mini 4 Pro, which is currently around 30 minutes as well. So as far as battery life, I would say, pretty good for this drone. Now, if 30 minutes isn't enough battery life, DJI does offer their intelligent batteries, which does ramp up your battery's performance to give you closer to around 47 to 50 minutes of battery life for each battery. Something to keep in mind though is that with these batteries, they do weigh a little bit more, so they'll put you over that weight requirement. So something to just keep in mind if you do want to consider those batteries. I do have DJI's propellers on my drone, but they are swappable. So if you damage the propellers or need to change them out because they're torn or they break or bend or whatever, you can swap them out pretty easily. I've actually found some aftermarket propellers for a decent price that I can, if I do crash the drone, I'll just use those as kind of a backup. It is nice to have backup propellers just in case, if you're traveling somewhere, you're kind of, you just want to have like a backup propeller, to switch out. It's just a nice thing to have. I've been shooting with the Mini 3 Pro for a while now, and the image quality is just incredible. It's sharp, it's crisp, it just looks truly professional. Just as good as what you would see in some of these newer or later models of drones. you can really do a lot with this drone. And if you know what you're doing, you can, make some really, really good content, some high quality content at that. The drone shoots in 4K at up to 60 frames per second, plus it has HDR video, and that really allows you to get a lot of that smooth, those crisp images that you can later edit in post. I've primarily been using this drone to do a lot of, professional landscape shots, as well as, aerial shots that, I do a lot of B-roll with this specific drone. I know my most recent trip to the Bahamas, I used this drone a lot and got some crazy views with it specifically. And it's just, an all-around great drone to have, and just, has really impressed me with how cinematic the footage is, especially for it being a very compact drone. One of the other cool things with this drone is that it has its own color profile. So you can shoot in their D-Log format, so you're able to do like any color grading later on when you're doing video editing in post, which is a really nice feature to have. I've been able to do it myself, and it just really adds a lot of that pop to your videos. Kind of think of it as like that seasoning where you're able to just kind of add that special seasoning, that special sauce to the videos to make them really stand out. Now, when you compare this drone to something like the Mini 4 Pro, there are a lot of similarities between both drones. They have the exact same camera sensors, so both drones get the 4K 60 pristine video quality. You also get all like the master shots, the quick shots. They also have rotational cameras, so for the vertical shooting, you can do a lot of that. That's very helpful, particularly if you're doing a lot of like social media stuff. I found it to be very useful, especially when I can switch to the vertical video format if I know I'm gonna put like a video like on social media. The drone is a smart drone, and probably the feature that I love the most about this drone is the fact that it has obstacle avoidance and tracking, which I really enjoyed using with this specific drone. You can really do a lot of advanced stuff when it comes to just maneuvering it, especially like within like tight spaces when you're trying to get around various obstacles. You just get a lot of confidence with doing a lot of that because it has all these different sensors around the drone to basically prevent you from crashing into anything. Now I will say it isn't a crash proof drone, but having all those sensors definitely provides a safety net to prevent any accidents. Now there will be some accidents that happen. I've definitely had my fair share of incidences with this specific drone, but it just gives you a lot more confidence while flying it. Having the active tracking modes has really been a game changer, and I've used it to get a lot more of those personal and dynamic type of shots. I've used it to film myself while doing workouts outside, even tracking my car while I'm driving. It just really is amazing to have, especially if you're doing a lot of filming like by yourself. You can get a lot of those shots on your own without having to have somebody else doing the filming for you. Now there are a few drawbacks when it comes to all the features that you don't get in the Mini 3 Pro drone. I know with a lot of the newer drones that are out there, they have much better omnidirectional performance. So with this drone specifically, it doesn't have side sensors. So when it comes to its tracking capabilities, its obstacle avoidance capabilities, this drone isn't as good as some of those newer drones, which is to be expected. Obviously, you're not going to have better tracking in this drone as compared to some of the newer ones that are out there. However, if I will say this, the drone is still very good in that category. Now, if you are a beginner, drone flyer, you're definitely gonna struggle a little bit. It's gonna it'd probably be easier if you had like some of those newer tracking capabilities. I definitely learned the hard way when flying this drone, but I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker for me. Another feature that the drone doesn't have are some of the autonomous flight modes where you can set waypoints for the drone to follow. Now the drone can still track and follow, but you just can't save flight paths for the drone to follow and perform on its own. Now with all that said, I still think this is the perfect drone to get now if you're a beginner. You can really get some crazy deals currently for this drone, which just really makes it the smart choice in my opinion. I think that the drone shoots really great quality images, has really good cinematic footage, and this is a premium level drone, so you can do all the pro level stuff with it. Now there is a Mini 4K drone out there that is a little bit more affordable. When you factor in all the features like the obstacle avoidance with all the sensors, having the rotational cameras, having that camera sensor, you still can't beat the Mini 3 Pro in my opinion. Yes, let me know what you think of this drone, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe for more content. Let me know in the comments, what drone would you recommend, and peace.